experience teaches wisdom at times. And in this instance, before we jump into our discussion of how to make those board papers become strategic rather than operational stories, and they don't have insights, let's talk about the entities that have sponsored this particular conversation. Grace, do we have them?
Besides K2 and Herbert, and please announce the Meru thing.
The road trip to Meru on the 5th of June. We'll be hitting the road to Meru, just like we do it all often. The last time we were in Nyanyuki, and it was fantastic. And I can guarantee you that it's going to be fantastic and memorable. So start saving, save the date. It is on the 5th of June. Yes, 5th of June. Get prepared so that we can hit that road. Sometimes it is good to get out of the city, and this is your chance of getting out of the city. Grace, the moderator of choice, my good friend, is here prepared to tell you how to write those papers so that they are strategic rather than operational. What is the difference between strategy and operations? Grace is a trainer. Grace is a certified coach. Some of you don't know. Grace is also a certified mediation expert. She's also CHRP. She works with a team that is found at Atara Solutions. She's the team lead, an organization that is one-stop shop on matters of HR. That is job evaluation, that is team building, that is learning and development, that is outsourcing if you do not have a full-fledged department of HR. They do a lot of things. But most importantly today, we are going to look at board papers, how they should propel you to the highest level of excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, as you tell us how your day was, let us appreciate Grace Nzula, the moderator of choice. Hebu tumpigie makofi. Let us clap for Grace. Let us clap for Grace. Mpigie makofi. I know even Ugandans understand Kiswahili. I don't know if Simon is around. Piga makofi. Because I can see George Ngoya, my friend, has done a lot of justice. I can see Grace. I can see Lucy Dalton Makofi. She has appreciated Grace. Eunice Ngugi has appreciated Grace as well. Grace, karibu. Tuambie board papers mzuri zinakaa namna gani. Roslyn Njoroge, thank you so much. Anne, thank you very much. Sayo, Anna, karibu. Gad, Antonia, Mireille. Grace, what do you have for us? What makes the difference between just operational board papers and that difficult concept of aligning your HR functions with business goals? Dennis Odera, thank you so much. Welcome, Grace.
Thank you, Richard. I was busy trying to send out the reminders. I'm running late. And for our followers, if you're in Kisumu, I'm open for tea. That is where I'm doing this from. And I was struggling a bit with what was I struggling a bit? Yeah. Anyway, so I'm very excited tonight to be your speaker in this conversation that's also I'm very passionate about, and also gives me a lot of, what do I call it, pleasure to be able to come to you this evening. And I am very, very excited. And I just want to hear from you. And Richard, you can help me check. How many, do you have a board, or do you just report, or do you do your reports to management? Do you do your reports to management, or do you have a board in place in your organization? Or is the board you want to speak to in your ideal organization? Just let us engage on the chat. Just let's engage on the chat. Do you have a board in your organization? And
Samuel Njoroge says they have a board. Uba says we have a board. Joshua Casio says we have a board. Mary says I report to the board. Janet, Fast and Furious. Most of them have a board. Doreen, we have a board. Ngoya, we have a board. Nambiru, we have a board. Pamela, we have a board. Dr. Fatma, we have a board. Winfried, we have a board. I chair board human resource. That is who. It has gone very fast. Musioka Mwanza, we have a subcommittee and a board. Pauline, report to management, but want to learn for my ideal next. Yeah, she's ambitious. She wants to now go up there where she reports to the board itself. We have Anne. She says, we do, but I report to human resource development. I want to learn. We have Caroline, report to management. Christine Kimathi, she says, we have a board. Lucy Delton, for me, my reports goes to managing director only. George Ngoya reporting to the CEO with dotted line to the board. I can say that 80% of the attendees have a board, but the question is, do they report to the board directly, or there's a dotted line?
I think that's good enough, the fact that there's a board in place. That makes this conversation very relevant. And also, even board members who are here, I think one of the things that I have been doing in the last year is to also educate board members on how to, or what to expect in HR reports, so that then they know, because you'll find most boards don't actually have a HR professional in place. And so sometimes what they receive is they either over question it because of lack of understanding, or the emphasis has always been on financial skills, really on HR or the people, HR skills. Let me not call it people, because we all have people skills. So this evening, we want to just have a run through on what the board expects from you. And we want to also just share how your reports can make sense to boards or to the people you report to. One of the things that HR has been accused of doing is being very operational. And I agree, because I have been a consumer. I have chaired a couple of HR board committee, and having been a consumer of your reports, I know where the gaps are, and I'm gonna try and share a few things that I have learned or I have seen people do, and also maybe give you a cheat sheet on really what the board is looking for. And that's where I'm going to start this evening, because if you do not understand what the board is thinking about, then you may not be able to communicate. One of the rules we say in communication is that you have to make sure that you are aligned to your audience. So one of the things that you really need to understand is your board. And disclaimer here, I will give you what I have seen work. One of the things that sharing is not turned on. Okay, Jacinta, please make me a co-host. I'm not able to share my screen. So one of the things that I have seen is us not understanding what the board is looking for. Now, before that, allow me to just let you know that Atara Solutions is a HR consulting and training firm, and we offer different services. We offer HR managed outsourced, for those of you who do not require full-time HR. We also offer recruitment. Please give us work to make sure that you talent sourcing. And also we do what we call HR consultancy, your job evaluations, your HR outsourcing, your documentation, your HR audits, performance management and performance management systems. Please invite us to help you set those up. We also are in learning and development. We organize training like the road trip that Richard has talked about. We also train from board members to you, management, and to your employees. We offer end-to-end training solutions to you. So allow me to just jump right on. And the question today we are asking is, are your HR reports board ready or just operational updates? Now, question to you, our audience, and you can tell me on the chat, if your report was the only document the board saw, would they make a strategic decision or just nod and move on? You can type yes, you can type they can make decisions or move on. So are your reports, if you are sending that email, the only thing you're doing is sending an email with your report, would your board be able to make a strategic decision? If you're not, I've seen people who are saying they report to the CEO with a dotted line to the board. Others are saying they just report to the CEO. So when these documents or these reports go to the board, do they just nod and move on? Or do they actually start having a conversation around what you do? Engage us. I'm actually waiting. Engage us. Richard?
Barbara has said yes. Uba has said yes. Lilian Bagabo has said nod, no, and move on. Both aspects make strategic decisions. That is, Judith has said yes. Who else has responded? Joshua has said both aspects, I believe. Doreen Nambiru has said yes, they make informed decisions out of the reports that she does. Anne Cheriot has said yes. Robert Sakayo, my good friend, has said both, depends on what report you're doing. Esther has said, I doubt. Purity K, yes. Monica Odindo has said, nah. Lady Caroline, truthfully don't know because the report goes to the CEO, who then report to the board. George Ngoya has said, in making strategic decisions with the strategic plan. Both, that is, Bernard, my friend, has said both. Winfrida Karemi has said both. Miriam Gikonyo has said not sure. I can see those are sufficient responses.
Yes, they are. Thank you, Richard. Now, the reason we ask that is because most of the time you probably don't attend board meetings, but there's a conversation happening around HR. And one of the things that we really need to challenge ourselves is to make sure that the information we are sharing, the board is able to make decisions. We keep saying that we go to the board to make decisions. We actually don't even go to deliberate. We normally have a conversation before the conversation. Of course, there's the board meeting that we want to be there. Because again, when we follow the guidelines of board, how the board works, we are not supposed to consume a lot of time being in the board. So you need to have information that helps us quickly make decisions or start a conversation that the board can take with them or become the center of the conversation around the organization, because we keep saying that people are the most important, what do we call them? Most important assets in the organization. So if people are really the center of your business, one of the tools that you need to use is make sure there's a conversation around HR or people in your board. Now, this is what the board is looking for. The board is very much interested about the risk exposure. I'm talking from a board point of view. If you bring a report, are you including the report, or rather the risk exposure? Is there a place where we can say that this is a risk? My good friend Dorothy is always saying, is there a risk? One of the things that you always need to ask yourself is there a risk? We are reporting on this. This is the report I'm preparing, but what are the risks we are about to experience? So the board is just thinking, fine, you have told us you have 100 employees. What is the risk? You have told us you have 10 people. What is the risk? You have told us you have trained I don't know how many people. What is the risk? You have told us that our engagement scores are at this point. What is the risk? Number one. Number two, what the board is interested in is the financial impact. For those of you in private sector, you need to make money in that organization. In fact, after everything is said and done, one of the reasons that organization exists if you're in private sector is to make a profit. So is there a financial impact to your activities? That is what the board wants to know. Is there a cost to whatever it is you're reporting? All right. Now, if you're talking about we need to increase our workforce, you know, in the public sector, they call it whatever, staff establishment. We have a staff establishment of 200 people, but our instruments talk about having 364, and therefore we need to hire another. Do we really need to hire? Do we have the financial muscle to support that? That is what the board is interested to do. When you write your leave reports, what is the value, the liability translation? Don't just come and tell us, we have 100 employees with 2,000 leave days pending. Can you translate that into money? You come and tell us that overtime last month was 100 hours. What does that mean in terms of financial impact, right? That is what the board wants to know. Now, the other thing we want to know is sustainability and continuity. If we have a workforce of 100 people, can we sustain that throughout the year? In fact, in the business environment right now, can we sustain the numbers we have? Can we sustain the leadership program we want to start? Can we sustain? That is the other thing that they are always looking for. So as you prepare your question, your board papers, you really need to put yourself into their shoes. They are looking for risk exposure, financial impact, sustainability. So as you prepare your documents, are you looking into any of this? All right. Then governance and compliance. Now, board is all about governance. Let no one lie to you. It is actually 3/4 of the work they do is governance, literally. So are you reporting on compliance? Now, compliance is there on a standalone because the law is as is as not and not as it should be. Are we legal? Are we compliant with the legal whatever of the land? Yeah. Are we making sure that all our are we complying with both our internal systems and our environment, right? And then board members have the fiduciary duty. They have the duty of care. So you have to understand a bit of governance for you to be able to know this is what the board is responsible for when it comes to my reports, all right? Then the board is looking for strategic alignment. Okay, what they want to know is we set out a strategy for this year or for the next 3 years. Are we heading in that direction? Are we going to get there at some point? That is what the board is interested in knowing. Yeah. And then very important, especially in this day and age, is our reputation. Everyone is currently talking about employee experience. Everybody, you know, people, the customer service people will talk about CX, customer experience. Us in HR, we are going to talk about employee experience, EX. So reputation is a big thing right now. Are you the employer of choice? Is what the board wants to know. That's why we are introducing things like engagement surveys. That's why people must get exit interviews. That is why we are looking at making people our ambassadors. You know, everybody knows that they represent your organization. If I put on an Atara Solutions t-shirt right now, and I go to a club and I'm all over the place and I get videos taken of me and they're posted everywhere, I know that is a reputational risk. And am I still going to be the employer of choice? So this is what your board or management, senior level, this is strategic level of thinking. And this is what they want to see. Now, once you understand where their mindset is at, I tell you what, it doesn't matter what the kind of board members you have. Most of them will be on these 6 aspects, at least up to 80%. Yeah, they may not remind you about the strategic alignment, for example, right? because some of you have strategies that are nice to have. They are not live documents, which is for whatever. Yeah, it works for you. That's fine. That's not a good thing. However, they want to know what is the financial, can we afford it? And that is why sometimes you find HR and finance are always fighting, because finance is saying we cannot afford this. But because HR is not able to demonstrate value, for them, it becomes that HR is a cost center. So my challenge to you, number one, if you're not going to walk out of this class with anything, just please remember the board mindset. And that is why as you prepare your board papers, you always think about these 6 aspects. Now, I'll give you a minute to do a screenshot so that you can always remember this. We move on. Now, I talked about a board being very focused on governance because their work is oversight. Their work is technically to give direction and to oversight. They give you a bird's eye view of the institution. Now, there are 4 things that they want to really, really focus on, and especially matters HR. They want to know about our policies. Are we making sure that our policies are serving our institution? Not those policies you're going to AI and asking it to bring to you. Then you print and copy paste. Are you customizing it to make sense for your institution? So one of the tools that they will be asking, what does our policy say? That you will always hear in the board. And the policy is not just for HR. It is also do we have policies in the entire organization? Does ICT have policies? Do finance have their policy? Do we have policies in this organization? Pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is risk management. I think we have talked about risk. We are talking about being able to foresee risk before it happens. So are we proactive in identifying risk? Are we proactive in making sure that we are assessing the risks? Are we proactive in making sure that risks don't get us off guard, right? And then it is not enough to just identify risk. Are we also coming up with mitigation factors? Are we making sure that for every risk we have identified? Now, when we're reporting on risk, we normally have 3 colors, like your traffic lights, red, amber, and green. For those that are red, those are urgent. We are in danger. Ambulance, right? For those that are yellow, we can take our time, but yeah. And then for those that are green, we are probably just getting there. So as you prepare your risk matrix, you need to identify, this is the risk we are likely to face on talent sourcing. This is the risk we are likely to face in, what else do we do? Training. These are the risks we are likely to face in employee relations. You have a union. What are the risks of not closing on a CBA on time? Then compliance and ethics. Are we complying? Because legal cases are very expensive. And human beings, like Kenyans, for example, are very litigant. We really like going to court. So are we compliant? Are we making sure that we are adhering to the law? And also, we are being ethical in our operations. Number 4 of the pillars in governance is performance monitoring. We want to know the productivity of our people. We want to know the performance. And that's what I was saying. Please, HR, if you're too busy in running your organization, call us in. We set you up for the performance management systems in place. We give you a policy, and then you start implementing. Sometimes you may not be able to get out of your daily operations to do these things. So please bring us as consultants so that we can help you in this. But the board is very keen on making sure that we are getting the value of the people we have hired. And that's why we keep saying, we don't hire you because you have problems. We hire you because we are buying skills from you. And if you're buying skills from you, it means that we are willing to spend money for us to get value out of it. So my good friends, if you are in HR, sitting in the HR board committee, or you are part of the HR committee. These are your pillars. Your document must always tell you about our processes. Are we complying? Do we have defined processes? Is it clear to the people, right? Because remember, sometimes bad culture is caused by processes that are not very well defined. Yeah, anything is a how, anyhow is a how, right? Any results we receive is considered a result because we did not define our goals, right? So we need to be very, very clear about risk, compliance, and performance. That is your role, right? So in HR professionals here, this is what the body is looking for from you. So the reason why we really need to have proper HR reports is because we want a way to manage information. Every quarter you're preparing reports because we don't want to sit and review reports for January in December. We want to do it every quarterly so that in case there are risks, we are dealing with them as quickly and as fast as possible, right? Then are we identifying key problem areas? That's the other advantage, or the importance of doing your reports. So for those of you who don't have a board in place, for those of you who probably your organization has never asked for you report, here is a place where you can start winning. Why don't you start preparing HR reports every quarter and introduce it to your heads of departments so that you can once in a while come together, and it encourages collaboration. We are able to identify risks or problems early enough, right? And then we can be able to track efficiency of the HR. We have always been told that HR is a cost center, but I disagree. HR is a value creator, but we cannot create value if you're not being able to demonstrate that value. All right, then it helps us make data backed decisions. The board will make a decision based on what you present. So if you present feelings, the board will always make decisions based on the feelings. If you present things that are further information, you just want FYI, for your information, then the board will make decisions based on for your information. I mean, we were just supposed to know and not do anything about it. But for you to be efficient, it is important that you prepare these reports every quarter, if not monthly, because I know monthly you need to prepare your operational reports so that they can give you a highlight or information good enough for you to be able to report on your quarter. Okay, and then it helps you in hiring and onboarding process. Most organizations, sometimes we go and do audits in organization and we end up realizing they have more people than they actually require, and some of these things you're wondering is why your business is always on the red. But it's probably because you're overstaffed. Sometimes it's because you're engaging in activities that are not fitting into your strategy. Just having training for the sake of having training. You cannot solve all problems with training. They will go enjoy the training, come back, and back to status quo. So not all problems are solved by training. So it is important that we start preparing these HR reports. Now we have some standard reports that we prepare, employee performance reports. After every performance cycle, you want to prepare a performance report and show where people are. Another example is recruitment. You have finished a recruitment. You want to say what happened, the number of people in your long list, the number of people in your short list, the criteria you use to come up with a short list, and then the interview, the criteria for marking the interview. And then it helps you. Richard, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. There are a few people, like two, are saying there's some echo. I don't know. I can't hear the echoes, but from my end, I can hear you very clearly.
Richard?
Yes.
Where did I get lost?
I think you are thrown out a little bit. You are on, let me check my screenshots. You are standard reports, HR standard reports, standard HR report types.
Okay. Yeah. So I have changed the internet. Let me just continue with that. Sorry, I apologize about that. All right. So we are talking about preparing reports. So we're talking about employee performance. We've talked about that. We've talked about recruitment reports. We've talked about, now we are on turnover and retention reports. How many employees, attrition rate, how many employees have we lost in the last year? The last year but one. In fact, sometimes if you've never done an attrition rate, you need to start 3 years back so that you can come and observe the trends, right? And you have not done HR analytics, you need to see Nelson for your class on that one, yeah, so that you can get to be able to deliver on analytics, yeah. Attendance and leave reports. Now, I know a lot of HR are stuck here. We got 10 people attendance and people, I don't know, did what. That is fine. Those are operational reports, okay? Attendance, leave, important, but operational, okay? Then training and development reports. Again, the kind of reports you give, what do they show? We have diversity inclusion. In fact, government calls it the face of Kenya, right? NGOs are very big on diversity and inclusion. They want to show we are inclusive. We have employed this gender, the inclusion of ethnicity, inclusion of brains, you know, different personalities. We have different metrics on diversity and inclusion. Then we want to show about compensation and benefits. There's a place where I was a HR advisor to the board. And one of the things that was being put in the report was that our employees are on NHIF. I'm like, yo, that is a statutory requirement. In fact, what we want to see is how much we have spent on NHIF, not that our employees are on HIF. You know, our costs have gone high because NSSF rates have increased. And therefore, we would like to increase our people's employee by cost of living adjustment, inflation rate, yeah? Compliance reports. Are we implementing something? Are we complying with the law? Are we following due process? Do we have a disciplinary case? Those are standard things that you report on. Payroll, yeah? You are paid people on time. The payroll was costing blah, 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 yeah? Employee satisfaction report. It is supposed to be continuous. So your satisfaction rate or your engagement rate should be done every so often. I think we've done a session on employee engagement, yeah? However, when you come to strategic HR, you have 3 things that you want to look into. 3 things that want to position you. One is your competitive advantage. Your people, because they are skilled, are your number 1 competitive advantage. And that is why your people need to get the right people for the right job. Are you promoting the right employees? Are you hiring the right employees? Are you rewarding the employees? That is what we want to know. Because if you have the right people in the organization, it means you're going to feed into the business strategy. Now, your HR reports need to speak to the business strategy. Don't just report for the sake of reporting. Look at the business strategy and see where HR is falling in and start capitalizing on that, okay? Number 2, we want to look at structural techniques, yeah? How do we maintain a high-performance work culture, right? How is it that we have structures in place that can help us achieve our strategic plan? That between your organization and your competitor, you're going to make more, or you're going to service people more because you are basing your HR strategy on your business strategy. So, and your business strategy includes the people issues. It includes the sales issue, the finance issues, all the issues in the business, but the people aspects are your responsibility. So the other thing is your cultural techniques. Do we have a proper organization design? Who is reporting to who? How is our culture? Do we have a culture that allows people to thrive? Do we have a culture that allows people to be the best version of themselves? Are we talking about our organization in a way that we are proud to be associated with it? Or are we saying, oh, Grace, please, 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 if you hear a job, I cannot take this culture? Is there something that you can do that can help you restructure your business so that it gives you a strategic or rather a competitive edge? So, and for those who are in public service, because you are in the service industry, you need to know at what point does HR activity speak to your strategic plan. For those in the NGO, you also have a strategic plan. Your reports, are they speaking to the strategic plan? Are you aligned to the global organization? Are you aligned, and then are you customizing for yourself? If I asked here today, how many HR professionals have their HR strategy? How many of you here? Just type on the chat, YY, for those who have a HR strategy, and just NN for those who do not. Do you have a HR strategy? Not the business strategy, a HR strategy in place. Type YY if you have a HR strategy in place, or no if you don't have, Richard?
Yeah, we have Doreen saying yes. We have Clamac saying yes. We have Brenda saying yes. We have Ireli saying yes. We have Dr. Fatuma saying no. We have Pauline saying yes. We have Jennifer saying yes. We have Beatrice saying, is it no? I didn't see this moving very fast. Wamboy, yes. I can see Nancy is saying no. Judy is saying no.
All right.
It's almost 50-50. The yes and no.
All right. So for those of you who have a HR strategy in place, is it also tied to the business strategy? For those who do not have HR strategy in place, it is time. Homework number 1, go and prepare a HR strategy. Yeah, you need to, we keep saying that HR should be on the table. But now, at this point in time, we are saying HR is the table because people are the most important assets in your organization. So our people agenda is key to how our organization thrives. So one of the things that I have noticed when it comes to board reports, HR is doing very well. To be honest, HR is doing their reports. They are. But the differentiator is language. We have not understood the business language. And allow me to repeat this, that the choice of words, how we interpret what is in our report is the differentiator on operations and strategic. So the choice of words, and I'm going to give you a few examples. Your choice of words, how you depict or how you go forth, right? And example number 1, you come to the report and say, we have employee turnover, our employee turnover is at 12%, okay? That is operational. But when it comes to board, the language you need to use is say that our talent attrition rate is increasing, workforce stability, costing Kenya shillings, blah, blah, and impacting delivery timeline by this number of days. So what you're saying is, because we are losing a high number of people, it means that we are not having a stable workforce. We are always recruiting because people are always resigning. And that means we are not, remember we talked about impact, We talked about impact, outcomes, and therefore we are losing on delivery timelines by blah, 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 okay? So you're not just leaving it at our turnover rate is at 10% in the year 2024. What is the impact of that turnover rate to the business? Okay? I hope we are together. What is the impact of that to the business? Example number 2, training conducted for 120 employees. I see HR writing, we have trained 120 people on leadership skills, for example, right? Board language, investment in capability building is improving productivity, readiness, by 20%. Or it has helped us reduce errors by 10%. You're not just reporting on training that costed the board 4 million. You're saying that this 4 million was important because we have increased productivity. We have taken our salespeople for training on customer service to be able to increase our customer retention rate by blah, blah, blah. I hope you're getting the point. So you're not just saying we have trained, because training, learning, and development is a docket of HR. Thank you very much. Atara Solutions has come to your organization and we have done a week-long training, complete with a team building on a Friday. In the evening, we have also dressed in white for the dinner or cocktail evening, because we want people to be engaged. But when we come back, what are we going to report on? Are we just saying that we are reporting to tick a box that we went for training, or are we now saying that we have productivity readiness, that we have people ready to take on the next challenge? We have people ready for promotion because they have been trained, or errors have gone down. You know, we are reducing something. There is either we are making money or reducing cost, period. By the way, HR, it's either you're increasing revenue or reducing costs. That's what business wants to hear, right? Employee engagement score, right? We are saying that our score is at 68%, and you bring us very beautiful graphs showing that you did a survey and engagement is at 68%. So what, all right? So we are saying engagement levels indicate moderate risk to productivity, because remember, it's a 68%, most likely above 50%. So we're saying the risk is moderate. Remember, we talked about risk at the beginning. That is what the board wants to hear, risk, right? So we are reducing, or rather moderate, the risk level is moderate on the yellow. Remember, I told you green, red, and yellow, the yellow. The engagement is at yellow, all right? And this one is to productivity and retention. It means that we are not about to start losing people. However, we really need to check on where this yellow is at. Is it on high performance teams, or is it on teams that are really not performing? Where is this yellow? All right. Okay. Language again. Absenteeism has increased. That is what you come to report. Remember, people say we don't come and report about absenteeism and who was clocking in and who was not. If you want to report on absenteeism, because this is also important, it means that we are losing revenue. You could be reporting on absenteeism, but you say rising absenteeism, we have increased absenteeism, which signals potential productivity loss, all right? Equivalent to dash work days or dash amount of shillings. And this may indicate an underlying workforce risk. Remember the 6 things I told you the board is looking for: sustainability, risk, financial impact, compliance, all those things, right? Recruitment delays experienced. We are saying we were supposed to recruit a CEO within 2 months. However, we are at 1 year and we still have an acting CEO. Is it systemic? Is it because what is happening, right? So we experience hiring delays, which are impacting our operational efficiency, and therefore they are slowing revenue generation in these skilled roles. So if you're in manufacturing, you don't have a person who operates a machine, it means that you're not operating at your optimal. The way you translate that information is the differentiator, right? Another example, we have recruited 20 employees in this quarter. In fact, the most funny thing that I get in the HR boards that I have seen, on the first page, you tell us that we have 80 employees in this organization. 10 of them are on contract, 30 of them are in PNP, permanent and pensionable, 20 of them are casuals, 30 of them are volunteers, 50 of them are interns. And then done. Now my question is, I'm happy to know who we have, and I'm happy to know that they're on contract, and I'm happy to know that 30 of them are on PMP. But so what? What do you want me to do with that information? As your board, what do you want me to do with that information? So what do I want you to do? Number one, instead of just saying that we have recruited 20 employees, you're saying that we have reduced vacancy in revenue critical roles by 30%. Okay? You see the English? You're speaking business language. Revenue critical role. Then you can even list them, that we have recruited these positions, which are revenue critical roles. That means that we are going to stabilize service delivery by 30%, and therefore we shall not experience revenue loss. So a lot of HRs will say, we recruited 20 employees, and then what are these positions? What are they coming to do? How are they feeding into the strategic plan? Yeah. And then we have experienced delays in recruiting technical roles because some of these people are very hard to come by, right? Therefore, we are not able to deliver on time. And for that one, you need now to ask the board, please allow us to get another organization, get Atara Solutions to come and support you in recruitment so that they can help you fast track and be able to cover your timelines. Yeah. And therefore, your delivery risk is taken care of. Okay. The other example I have for you this evening is, and this is important, I would rather do this than actually leave you without knowing what to do, because we have sung this song a long time, and I thought, you know what, let's make this practical. We conducted wellness sessions and counseling programs. Hey, psychosocial support. We have employee wellness programs in our organizations. Very beautiful policies. I don't know how live they are, but if you're reporting to the board about that, you're saying employee burnout indicators, because you used a survey that you did to do when you were doing employee engagement. They showed that your staff members are burnt out. In fact, they have been telling you that the number of leave, or rather absenteeism people you're getting is because people are burnt out. Fatigue is looming in your institution. Or you've looked at the end of year report that comes from your insurance, and you've noticed the expenditure on stomach problems, the expenditure on psychology therapist has gone high. It means that there's something not working in your organization. So when you're reporting to the board, you say that we have indicators on burnout that have increased by 15%. And this one impacts productivity and absenteeism if not addressed. And therefore, you're requesting the board to help you in 1, 2, 3 things. Yeah? Because every board paper has to have an ask. All right? Then targeted wellness interventions. We have noticed absenteeism has increased in our institution because people have not gone on leave. We have not approved leave for the last 15 years, 10 years, 10, whatever. Throughout the year, people have not been, because it has been very busy. It was a high, whatever year, yeah? So you have noticed that we need to have specific interventions on wellness. So if you want the board to approve the budget, you need to speak the language that they can understand. Not just tell them that, oh, our people have just been getting sick. So what? Yeah. Then disciplinary cases have increased by X number or X percentage. Yeah. Increase in employee relations cases signals potential culture or compliance risks requiring blah, blah intervention. My proposal to the board is that we sort out these employee relations issues. Yeah, people are feeling like we are unfair, you know, because we have left ourselves to do appraisals at the end of the year. And therefore, you want to punish somebody for a mistake they did in January and December. So for you to be able to change that and get to change that business is to go to the employer and tell them, our employee relations issues have increased by this percentage. I believe it is because of 1, 2, 3 things. Can we change this at the cost of this? And this will help increase our engagement levels. Okay? So when you're talking about risk, this is very important because all board members are looking for risk. So you need to think about, when you think about talent, the impact of talent is operational disruption or loss of revenue. Attrition risk, or what we talked about, employee leaving the organization. What are you risking? What is the impact of that loss? Increased cost or loss of institutional knowledge. I'm giving you cheat sheet. Capability risk. This is where we want to take everyone for training. And we are saying it leads to strategic failure and slow growth in the organization. Impact. Culture and conduct risk. Impact of that, the legal exposure, right? A reputational damage. When we come and our reputation is damaged, it means people are not ready to do business with us. Leadership risk. Yeah? What is the impact of that risk? business continuity threat. We are not being able to be sustainable as a business because we have a risk in leadership, right? We don't have people who can take over after. If HR manager goes on leave today, that organization gets closed because you're not there. That means that we have a risk in business continuity. Then employee well-being risk. What is the impact of well-being? Reduced productivity and absenteeism. Yeah, when people are not feeling well, when people are unwell, that is what you're risking. And then on compliance, what is the impact? We will pay hefty in legal penalties, and we also get because the board has a liability. They individually, we say whatever fiduciary duty. That if a board is caught with an organization, the board can be charged for the decisions they made. So there is a liability. So if you get used to speaking this language, impact, 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 that is being strategic, not just activities, activities, activities. It is impact, impact, impact. Yeah. All right. So as you prepare your board reports, there are 5 elements that you need to have. The first thing that you want to think about is the strategic alignment. We have 4 objectives for this year. Where does the people agenda come into the 4 objectives? What am I doing? What is my role as HR in feeding this? Number 2, what are the metrics? You know, what are the numbers we want to portray? What is this that can help us be able to run this organization effectively and efficiently, right? Then talent risk indicators. We've talked about risk, right? Now, my biggest one, oh my God, this one we really need to think about is the so what question. My friends, if you come, please, for this, you can forget now the other things. Do not forget slide number 1 and do not forget the so what question. I beseech you and I propose to you. The so what question is our biggest enemy. We want to report on activities, but we don't want to say so what. So what if we have the face of Kenya? So what if we have 30% women and 70% men? So what, so what? So what is the so you have given what do you want me to do with this information, right? And then risk and impact, we've talked about that. And then action and recommendations. You need, after everything, every element of your report, you want to write that we are talking about recruitment now. We are da 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 da. And then what is your ask? What do you want these people to do with this information? That is one thing that we forget. There are aspects of your report that will be for the board to note. And there you write, whatever the board to note that this is where we are at now for noting. But then we also have the ask. We request the board to approve expenditure of 10,000 shillings for training. We ask the board to approve the use of a HR agent in recruitment because of 1, 2, 3. We want the HR, or rather the board, to approve for us to bring in a consultant who is able to do job evaluation so that we can check on our salary bands. We need to do salary surveys because people are complaining that, or people have been leaving to competition. And the feedback we are getting is that we are underpaying. But for us to determine how we are underpaying, we need to go out and do a salary survey. So all this data you're gathering, you must have an ask. What is it that you want management or board to do? If you're using a HRIS, these are an easy dashboard that you should always have in your reports. Easy. It can be generated. And I'm not talking about the specific things here. You can come up with your own dashboard. This is just an example. Yeah. So, and you see how technology has come to make our work easier. In one dashboard, you've talked about employee count by age, gender distribution, technically your demographics in your organization in one slide. In one slide, you have projected everything about demographics on your organization. So the next slide goes to become shorter because every board presentation or board papers cannot be a whole booklet. Oh my God. The report should be, if you're doing a word report, maybe maximum 3 to 4 pages, maximum, right? The others come in as annexures. The details, your activities will come as an annex because somebody might see something and they want to verify the data. But in this one, in a minute or two, I should be able to read your report and I know what we are coming to do, right? Now, as you prepare your report, now your report, one thing that I want to also tell you, your reports need to have data. You need to make use on infographics, use images, use graphs, use pie charts, use information, but most importantly, translate those. Ensure that you're translating everything that you've put in there, because we also want to see the insights. It's not just about information. Also tell us, what does this information say? So in summary, one liner, that attrition rate has gone up by 20% as shown in table 1.2. That is, infographics will sort you out because you want to use a lot of information in very minimized space. Yeah. So because of use of infographics and because of use of people's data, in this day and age of data protection, we need to really have ethical consideration. Now, if you're using, you want to consider employment issues. What does what say about employment? You know, what information do I have and how does it affect the people I am going to use it for, right? If you want to go and say, we have 10 people pregnant, will that help you or will it not help you? Okay. Issues related to privacy, data protection. You know, you can't go and use my image and I have not consented. You can't also go and use my medical reports because you want to give the board examples. No, that is not ethical. Then you want to also look at issues related to cash and incentive plans. You can't just go to your board report and you're saying, Richard Magoma has taken an advance of 100,000 shillings every month for the last 6 months. No. Call Richard and have a conversation with him. Don't put that in the HR report. Yeah. You can report in terms of, we have seen an increase of people borrowing money, right? Last month we had 10 employees. You don't go mentioning the names. All right. Number 4, issues related to safety and health. You can't come and say, we have 10 people who are sick of HIV. Hey, and then you start saying, we have noticed that Grace has to, God forbid, has an illness. No, even if I came to you in confidence, you're not supposed to go and use that the same. So ethical considerations, yeah? Issues related to discrimination of employees. We need to be very careful about discrimination. Very, very careful because it can be very costly. Then issues related to restructuring and layoffs. You don't leave the boardroom and go start discussing, by the way, we are about to start firing people. The board has decided we want to start. No, you wait for the proper platforms to share that information. You can't just go sharing information like that, okay? The other issue is performance appraisal. You need to check what is relevant. What is relevant? Can't say that we noticed that this employee has been unwell, they are suffering from this disease, and therefore their score is at this. We don't care. We want to know that the score of our people is at this point, and it is because of this, and these are the solutions we want. So you also ought to have considerations on to what extent can you expose what. In terms of information, what can you share and what can't you share? If I have come and confessed to you that, for example, somebody comes to your office and confesses that they are bipolar, for example, you cannot go to the organization and as you do your board presentation, you say that so-and-so has told me that they are bipolar. No, you don't do that. So ethical considerations are also very key in terms of HR reports. So what we are saying is, you in HR, if you're not shaping if you're not controlling or shaping the board conversation, then your conversations are being shaped by the board. So you need to shape the conversations happening in your boardrooms through the reports that you prepare, through the considerations I've given you, through the mindset of the board, through the language I have taught you, and therefore you start controlling the narrative instead of the narrative controlling you. Richard.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your chance to thank Grace for that very deep research and very enthusiastic presentation. Now, this is the time that you send those Makofi, like Lucy, like George, like who else? Now, Grace, the first question that I've seen, how do you report a situation whereby you are hiring maybe a CEO or a managing director and it is taking long? How do you report this when it's taking a lot of time? How do you report this? Then what I'm seeing, maybe let me give you 3 questions. The other question I could want to see.
1 minute, let me get a notebook.
All right. Thank you very much, Anne Cheriot. Thank you very much, Catherine Juma. Catherine Brenda, thank you very much. Winnie Rogendo, thank you very much. Christine Kimadi, thank you very much for appreciating Grace. We have Jacqueline Ngeli, thank you very much. We have Jane Gishuru, thank you very much for appreciating. Grace, the question was, when a senior, very critical role has taken a lot of time for it to be filled, and you're at the board, how do you do it? Do you ask for more time? What do you do? Then the other question I am asking, I know you interact with curriculum developers. I am seeing a situation whereby there is a problem between curriculum development. Maybe you can demystify it if I'm the one who's in the wrong. Which unit of HR makes you understand the writing of boards? The third question, because I know you are a communication expert, I am seeing there is when it came to communication, I am seeing that there is a problem between lazy communication and effective communication. The other part of communication is lazy communication. The other part is advanced communication. How do you transition from lazy communication to very metrocratic communication? Because there is a lot of thinking that is involved between that transition. How do you do it? Those are 3 questions.
All right, let me start with the communication one. How do you transition? 1, it's actually a mindset thing. And 2, it's an interest thing. We have all this information on speaking the business language. If you go to Google, to YouTube and type board language or business language, I have seen people making fun on Instagram about the language. So it's just actually about you going forth and learning how to speak this language, and just condition your mind to just not see the activity and also see solutions, or always look for how do you solve this problem? How do you solve this problem? How do you solve this problem? So it's a mindset, number 1. Number 2, it is a skill that you can learn through the tools that we have. And number 3, it also takes a lot of interest. Do you want to learn it? Because we keep saying you cannot change unless you're willing to change or you're forced to change. Now, because communication may not force you to change, it may just make you want to change. That is it on communication. Curriculum, which you come to Atara Solutions University, is where we will teach you how to write board papers.
Breaking. You're breaking.
ICS, the Institute of Corporate Governance, has been doing these trainings. Hear me now, Richard? Can you hear me?
You are breaking. Now you're better.
Okay. All right. So I was saying, Institute of Corporate Secretaries have been doing the whatever board reports. IHRM has also started doing it. And of course, Atara Solutions will come and do it for your organization and teach you how to do board papers. In terms of the school curriculum, the proper curriculum, this is the school of hard knocks that we teach you in the streets. I have not seen a unit that teaches how to do board papers. So this is, but this is more of a capacity building exercise than the education part of it, you know, the kutoa ujinga part of it, right? Long time to hire a CEO. Now, the it depends. Two things. I don't know whether that person is coming from private sector or public sector or from the NGO. Now, in public sector, there are issues when it comes to recruitment of CEOs because of the number of factors that are considered before you get one in place, right? So how do you report the length of time that takes to hire a CEO? You report and say that you are losing out on productivity of the team. You're losing out on the stability of the organization. You're also losing out on direction and strategic implementation of because the CEO's work is to see through the strategic implementation. So the longer it takes to recruit a CEO, the longer it takes or the more we deviate from having meeting our targets in terms of strategic implementation. Do we have acting capacity? And the people on acting capacity, have we grown them? So you can approach it two ways. One, report on the length of time it's taking to ensure that we are not being able to meet our strategic plan. And the risk in that is that our organization is not stable. Because when you're in acting position, you have claws, but you can't bite. So the longer it takes, now, again, on compliance, because it's also a compliance issue. If your policy talks about acting capacity or rather acting for 6 months, then you have somebody acting for 3 years. It means that you're also not compliant. So all those are the two things that you can use to help you report on the time it takes to recruit a CEO. Richard.
Yes, I have seen a question. You mentioned in your discussion, you mentioned the issue of how to report on or present the question of cost of living adjustment. It is a very touchy subject, and most people fear because you can easily be sacked by raising the issue of cost of living. How do you approach it like a professional so that you do not land in problems? How do you strategize so that you report about it?
So you have to look at the impact. One of the things that if you want to talk about requesting the board to invest in the employees, it is the impact of not investing. What are we standing to lose is what you should ask. What are we standing to lose? What is the risk? Now, what again are we standing to gain if we do it the right way? Those are the questions you need to ask. And I've seen somebody saying very insightful things we take for granted. However, sometimes some boards are not level enough. Some instances, one gets demoralized when you share some of those reports and they are ignored. Sometimes no response or feedback is received. Well, one, you keep doing it because the more you do it, the better you get. So I have been challenging managers these days. Do not just focus on being clapped for. Focus on the results. And the result for you here is the more you do these reports, the better you get at them, whether they are responding or not, such that the day you leave that organization to the next organization, you're going to enjoy being in that organization because you're definitely going to go to the higher level. So don't just get stuck. Do it and focus on the results. Focus on the fact that you have done the report and done it right. When the time is right, it will be recognized. So don't just focus on recognition, focus on the results.
I am seeing, you and I know that this is one of the highest numbers that we've had. Now, the question is it the appetite to grow into board level or lack of training that we have around? What inference are you getting from the high number of people who have attended this particular discussion?
That I'm a good speaker. Anyway. It's an amazing time to be in HR. This is my feedback or my answer to that question. It's really an amazing time to be in HR. One, because people are realizing that people agenda is key to them achieving their mission and vision. So for that reason, then being in HR right now, you're no longer being served as the meal, you are also part of the table, right? You know, we say that if you're not part of the table, you'll be served as a meal. So instead of HR being castigated and everything, they are being listened to at this point in time. So, and also we are at a point where we also want to take our game to the next level. we have really metamorphosized. If you look at the history of HR, from personnel management, from the workforce 1964 to they used to be called welfare officers, to the current people and culture right now, because we are no longer HR, we have really moved. And when you're people and culture, your agenda is bigger than just worrying about who came to work and who did not. So we are taking our game to the next level. And I'm seeing this question, I don't know whether you've seen it, from Mary Nabunya, who's saying, why is it some board may not have HR representation on the table? And how then can that dashboard be appreciated? I'm curious. Now, when you do not have a HR on the table, you need to speak into layman's language. In fact, one of the things that I don't know why I forgot to write that. Ask yourself, if a non-HR person was reading your report, would they understand it? Right? That is, so you end up using the simplest of languages to prepare your report. Please avoid HR jargon when you're doing board reports. They are not HR professionals. In fact, even if you had representation at the board, like the board I sit in, I'm the only HR professional. And I have been for the last, I think, probably 6-7 years I've been sitting in boards. I've been the only HR professional. But in my HR committee, I have other people there who are not non-HR. So I cannot always be interpreting for them. So you want to make the language as simple as you possibly can.
Yes, there's a question by Ruth. She's asking, although you had mentioned it briefly, how do you present the issue of disciplinary to the board if you have access? How do you do it?
So disciplinary in what case? Because what we need to check is, okay, I wish I had more details, but what I said is, we need, on matters disciplinary, we are dealing with matters of employee relations. So employee relations is also a reflection of our culture, of disgruntlement, of grievances. So we need to look at how are we reporting our grievances? Are we addressing the grievances? Conflict management, what do we call it? Systems that help us manage our conflict. So you look at how the impact that will have. So you can say that we are likely to risk compliance issues because we are not complying either with the law or complying with the policy. We are also going to have potential culture problems on matters employee relations. So those are the two that I can quickly speak to.
The last question, as you prepare for your parting shot, is what is the difference between HR reports and HR board papers? Some people use it synonymously. HR reports and HR board papers. Is there a difference?
So the difference is mainly who is consuming the information.
Okay.
So the board paper is technically supposed to be into the board. And what happens is a board paper okay. So you have a HR report as part of the board paper, and then you have other papers from HR. So you can have a HR report, which is talking about the operations and the so what's of the operations. And then you have a board paper, for example, of a specific item you want the board to look into. So you can have a board paper on performance management. You can have a board paper on culture. You can have a board paper on all this. So board papers is more general. HR reports can be an element of the board paper.
All right. People forget, but what is it that you do not want them to forget as your parting shot?
Right. My parting shot is what I think I have lastly shared. If HR is not shaping board conversations, then HR is being shaped by them. So it is up to us to be proactive in how we are shaping the conversations around the board and into our organization. And my other parting shot is 6 things: risk, financial impact, sustainability, compliance, strategic alignment, and reputation. Base your reports on that. And I can tell you your board conversations will be very different. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You can clap for yourself as you also clap for Grace. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic or the theme for the 5th of June is going to be exciting. The speakers are going to be amazing and quite transformative. Start saving. You will see the the flyer in the next few days so that you can start preparing. Let's meet in Meru. The details will come out. My name is Richard Magoma. Richard Magoma assist people to talk very well like Grace so that you can also monetize your speaking. I also assist people in interview preparation. This has been a wonderful discussion, and I'm sure you've taken a lot of notes. I am sure some people are asking, Grace, give us those PowerPoints. No, go to the YouTube channel of Atara Solutions. You will get the PowerPoints. Enjoy your dinner, enjoy your sleep until next week, Tuesday, when we are going to have another demystifying moment. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Richard. And Paul, you can reshare the WhatsApp group and the YouTube channel. We are going to put the recording there. And please like our Facebook page, Atara Solutions. Follow us on Instagram, Atara Solutions. Connect with us on LinkedIn at Atara Solutions, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get it right with Atara Solutions. And if you're joining us for the first time, you can join our WhatsApp group to get to know what it is that we are looking for. So thank you very much, Richard, and to everyone who dared to join us. And I hope this was helpful to you. And I look forward to better board papers.
Thank you. Good night. Peace.
Jacinta, you disappeared without playing music. I don't have the rights.